All right, let's have a great show, everyone. All right. Harlan, la 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 la. Harlan Obioha. Harlan Obioha. Abraham Oyadir. Abraham Oyadir. All right. I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this down. What was that? No, I am not leading with West Virginia has a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Because I don't believe they have a chance. It's awesome that they won. They're not, they had their bubble moment and now they're off the bubble. Could they get back to the bubble? Sure. Is the bubble the NCAA tournament? For some it is, but how, you tell me, and this is why I'm not going to start out talking about the NCAA tournament, is let's say West Virginia wins the last two games. They go 10-8, win a couple of games in Kansas City. They can't change what happened in the non-conference. They still lost to Utah at home and to Baylor at home. And they didn't beat Clemson, and they didn't beat Ohio State, and they didn't beat Wake Forest. They have one of the easiest non-conference schedules, and they have 4 losses in it. So, yeah, crazier things have happened. They are not 100% dead. It's a very small percentage chance because last year West Virginia was predicted to be in and didn't make it. Nobody's predicting West Virginia's in right now. A lot of bad things have to happen to teams above them that's on the wrong side of the bubble. And then all of the conference tournaments have to go to the favorite so they don't become 2 bid leagues in the mid-majors. Like, so many things have to, I don't want to, why am I explaining it to you all? What I'm saying is I am not talking about NCAA tournament chances after one win. It doesn't change the formula for me. Yes, I got nervous. I will talk about that. All right, let's do this. Good show. 1, 2, 3. Hello from the studio in Nitro, West Virginia. This is Unreasonable Down. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and just like that, West Virginia's back in the top half of the Big 12 standings. They won a game at home. Not only are they back in the top half, the teams they're tied with, Cincinnati, BYU, undefeated against those teams. West Virginia ends a 3-game losing streak, first home win in a month, 79 points scored in a 79-71 win over the BYU Cougars. That's West Virginia's first ever win over Brigham Young. So in the Big 12, and really in general, the only team West Virginia in history doesn't have a win against is the Houston Cougars. We might wait a while for that, but mark off BYU. And listen, I said on this podcast that my commitment to watching games without anxiety, that lasted 2.5 games. I got nervous. I can't help it. My stomach was in knots for most of that second half. I said this on the podcast last episode. Check that one out. It was a sad episode. What keeps me invested in the 2025-2026 season? Winning. And West Virginia was winning quite a bit during this game. And I really want to stay invested in year one of the Ross Hodge era, in this team. I want to stay invested. And West Virginia up, in that 8-12 range in the second half. Candidly, that's the toughest, that's the most nervous I get watching a game, is West Virginia with an 8-point lead. I can't explain why. I think it's because a couple of threes and now you're only up 2, and here comes the darkness. And Yeah, sometimes when West Virginia is up 8, it can balloon to 15. And you could point out the instances when that's happened. It feels like a rare bird for me that up 8 becomes up 2, timeout, and things are going in the wrong direction. And to West Virginia's credit, they won this game by 8 points. But it is, when it's a close game, yes, I'm nervous, not as nervous with that false sense of West Virginia's got this under control. One could watch the game and say, all right, 8-point lead at this stage of the game. There's worse things that could be happening than being up 8 at home. And yet I struggle with that so much. Do other fan bases feel nervous up 8 as much as I do watching this WVU team and watching WVU basketball in general? It's not just with this team. Every year, up 8 specifically is a tough spot. And that's where it was a majority of the second half. To West Virginia's credit. And they had the throwback whites on, got the win. And West Virginia, first half, they held BYU to 26. The Cougars didn't have a field goal in the last 8 minutes of the first half. So that's good. That they were kind of doing a WVU impression. And the anxiety in the second half came right after the start of the second half. How do I put this? If there was a way for you to bet going into the second half, West Virginia up 14, that Ross Hodge would have to call a timeout before the first TV timeout. Whatever the odds for that, it puts you in a tough spot. I would bet that. If I had no attachment to WVU other than I watched the games, and I don't know what the odds would be on that, it felt like sure money. But here's the thing. I want WVU to win. So I can't bet that and make that come true. There's no good way to feel good about winning a sure thing bet. And I don't know what the number is where BYU is going to score. It could have just been 2 buckets before Ross Hodge called a timeout and have to reset things. But I have never been more sure, and I'm not a ball knower. I know, and I'm not the only one, you knew that 14-point lead was going to not go all the way to 0, but it wasn't staying at 14, and it wasn't going to expand. And there was going to be a timeout early in the second half, and it absolutely happened. And here's the anxiety. And I lasted 2.5 games of casually, that Oklahoma State game, which went to overtime, low anxiety. But I guess being at home and West Virginia hadn't won there since in a month, that I just wanted them to win a game. And it felt like BYU couldn't miss in the second half. And DeBonsa, he had 16 points in the second half, and BYU cut it to 3. And yet West Virginia was able to hold on, key rebounds on both sides of the floor. Chance Moore, big athletic defensive rebounds when BYU finally missed a few. Brendan Lorient had 7 offensive rebounds in this game, including a big one late. And West Virginia came into this one losing the rebounding battle in the last 3 games. Just so happened to lose those last 3 games. Tonight, West Virginia finished plus 10 in offensive rebounding tonight and won the rebounding battle overall. And for the first time in the year 2026, and only the 3rd time all season, West Virginia finished this game with 5 Mountaineers in double-digit scoring. That has been, speaking of rare birds, that's been a rare bird this season. The other 2 games was Campbell and Mississippi Valley State, which really shouldn't count. But let's start with Brennan Laureate with all my love and respect to the Delta Devils. Let's start with Brennan Laureate. The offense flowed through Laureate quite a bit in the second half. He did not have a turnover in this game. There was no, hey, I'm going to throw it across the court and it's going to get picked off. He made the right play almost every time tonight. No turnovers. That big play late where he has the ball at the foul line, fakes the dribble handoff, and goes to the basket, finishes over Keita. And this is just a few minutes after Keita threw Laureate's shot 10 rows back. So that was a big play. Laureate made a three in the second half. It's his first made three in 8 games. And it was a big one right before the last TV timeout. Laureate was huge tonight, finished with 18 points, 9 rebounds, 7 of those rebounds on the offensive glass. Honor Huff, while a lot of the play went through Laureate, when it wasn't, the ball was in Honor Huff's hands, and he was asked to be a playmaker in the second half. And so the good news is that he was making plays. He was not settling for jump shots, even though he got plenty of those. He drove the ball. And when Honor Huff drives the ball, absolutely great things can happen, but also some bad stuff. He did finish with 5 turnovers, but he had 6 assists. And he didn't shoot the ball great, but he got to the free throw line. I mean, one of the good things that can happen when Honor Huff is driving the ball, the finishing is questionable. Him getting a bounce pass for an easy shot has a better percentage chance. But one of the best things that can happen when he drives the ball is that he gets fouled. He did get fouled shooting a 3. He was 6 for 7 from the free throw line tonight, and he finished with 19 points. Jasper Floyd, 0 turnovers. Didn't shoot the ball a ton, but was absolutely efficient when he did shoot, made a clutch corner 3 in the second half, made free throws late in this game to put it away. He had 11 points and 3 assists, and again, no turnovers. Chance Moore, if Brennan Laureate is the number 1 guy on the list today, and Honor Huff is 2, then Chance Moore is right there in the 3 spot. And you could argue even higher. Like, really good on both sides of the floor. That guy for BYU that Chance Moore was guarding quite a bit, he's a top 3 NBA lottery pick. He's going to have a substantial career in the NBA. And Chance Moore blocked one of his shots, contested other shots, and sometimes the guy is just that talented that he can make shots. But Chance Moore, I thought, showed himself well against the Bonza, got those key rebounds, just skying for the ball. And Chance Moore, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, which is big. Big steal late. West Virginia's up 3, Honor Huff turnover. Chance Moore hustles, gets down, taps the ball away from right as he's driving, goes back to Jasper Floyd. Under a minute left. That was a big play, and BYU didn't score again. So 11 points, 8 rebounds for Chance Moore. Just really impressive stuff as the guy coming off the bench. And then DJ Thomas, big first half, made a couple of threes, finished near the basket. He had 13 points and 3 rebounds. And when you look at the box score, West Virginia won in almost all the categories, maybe all of them. Made more free throws than BYU, +3. Won the turnover battle. They had 17 assists, West Virginia did. That's the most assists in a game since the Arizona State game. They broke 70 for the second game in a row. They haven't done that since January. West Virginia didn't foul a 3-point shooter, which you won't find, I don't guess, in a box score. But I jokingly, on the Smoking Musket Discord, put together a bingo card. If this team the 2025-2026 Mountaineers, if you were playing bingo for things that happen during a Mountaineers game this season, fouling a three-point shooter would absolutely be on a square. And we didn't get to mark it today, which is great. It's a nice change of pace. Winning at home, nice change of pace. Not fouling a three-point shooter, it's just a nice change of pace. Because you would want that to never happen. And it's been happening with frequency all season, especially here lately. So good to not see that happen. And everything pointed Mountaineers today. And thank goodness, because I mentioned it. There was a scenario West Virginia could have finished this season with more losses than wins, which is always disappointing in Division I basketball. That even though you're in one of the toughest conferences in America, that non-conference schedule and you finish with a losing record, that would be disappointing. And West Virginia, I know this isn't a high bar, but West Virginia is going to finish, their record is going to be more wins than losses, no matter what, from here forward. That's a great thing. And they can still finish with a 500 record in conference play. They could finish with a winning record in conference play. They could finish 10-8. I don't see an NCAA tournament berth for this team. That ended with me after the Utah game. But you can point to not just that game, but there are other games in this season where WVU's fate for getting to the NCAA tournament was decided. But in the expectations department, if West Virginia can have a 500 record in conference play, which the last guy did, 10-10 last year, West Virginia could go 9-9. If they can go 500 or better in conference play, Ross Hodge and this team has exceeded my expectations in year one. And if they don't win another game this season, I would say Ross Hodge and this team has met my expectations for year one. And of the three options, those two are the best in order: exceeding and meet. So that's nice. I don't think they care a bit about my expectations and how those align with what they've done. I'm just telling you my perspective. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. The next game for WVU is back to the familiar confines of ESPN+. Last true road game of the season, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. West Virginia goes to Manhattan, Kansas to play the Kansas State Wildcats. And West Virginia beat Kansas State earlier in the season in Morgantown, but this is a different Kansas State team in that they're playing really bad, and they're 2-14 in Big 12 play, and it got the coach fired. Jerome Tang is gone, and the guy who's the interim head coach, no, it's not Josh Eilert. I think that was a lost opportunity for Josh Eilert to come home and coach Kansas State. But it's the guy who's the meme that screams, "Let's go," as the guys are leaving the locker room. You know this guy. Let me play it. Like, that guy. That's West Virginia didn't have, this guy was on the sidelines, but now this guy's coaching. And I'm concerned about that. If you're if in the other locker room is this, I mean, I don't know. That's concerning. Also, on the player side, McGriff, who played at UNC Wilmington and split reps with Harlan Obioha last season. Obioha was the starter. McGriff was the backup. They both played the same amount of minutes, roughly. And McGriff ends up at Kansas State, did not play in Morgantown. So those two guys, very familiar with each other, played a ton against each other in practice, played together. So that will be the matchup I'm looking the most forward to, is Harlan Obioha versus, I don't know his first name. His last name's McGriff. And West Virginia hasn't won in Manhattan with no attendance restrictions. I don't count the COVID year. That doesn't count as a road win because it's an empty gym. West Virginia hasn't won in Manhattan since 2018. So it's been a while, but there's been plenty of different coaches. Ross Hodges' first attempt in Manhattan, Kansas as the WVU head basketball coach. Can West Virginia get their 9th Big 12 win of the season? We'll find out. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Let's go! Oh, that's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms. Just pick one. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Pocket Cast Podcasts, YouTube. Let's go! Oh. Till next time, I'm Josh with WVU. For the 2025-2026 season, they have 17 wins and they have 12 losses.